So on June 7th, we got that electronic confirmation of permanent residency to say, congratulations, you are now permanent residents of Canada. That very day, we received an invitation to apply. Worried, we pondered, we said, okay, we're wasting time. Let's just go ahead and decline the invitation without actually thinking through, but they had some concerns. You don't want to get that email. You don't want to get that request. They are basically giving you an opportunity to make any changes to the application. Explain yourself. So it was a procedural fairness email. Are you considering applying for permanent residency? Maybe you're just interested in finding out the different options that might be suitable for you. In this video, I'm here to share with you the pathway that my family and I took to become permanent residents of Canada. I started an MBA program, a Master's of Business Administration program, in January of 2021. My family, that's my husband and my son, joined me here in Canada a few months later. So my husband started to work in Canada in August of 2021, that's late August. Before coming to Canada, he had work experience in the IT field, and it was natural for when he got here for him to consider looking for an area in his field. Luckily, he was able to secure a job, a full-time job, on an open work permit, and his job is considered a tech job. So we're in British Columbia, and when I finished school, we started to do more research and tried to figure out what the best option was for us to become permanent residents of Canada. And just in case you're wondering, I have my laptop with my points, so I'll be looking at the screen from time to time to ensure that I stay on track. What is relevant to highlight is that my husband had a bachelor's degree from Jamaica before coming here to Canada. However, we knew that that program was not accredited. So the thing that we wanted to find out was, what could we do? What pathways would have been most effective for us to get that approval to become permanent residents, and to do all that we could to give both of us the best options. So what we decided to do was to have profiles in the express entry system, and to see which one of our applications would have been the first to get an invitation to apply. So I have the higher education, which is a master's degree compared to his bachelor's degree, and he had the edge in which he had Canadian work experience, and I didn't, because any work experience you had at that point does not count towards the work experience, any Canadian work experience that you may need. So what motivated us to come to Canada? What motivated us to become permanent residents? And of course, the simple answer to that is our now 5-year-old son. We also wanted to explore the different opportunities out there to see if we could get better jobs, secure a better life for our family. So we thought that the pathway as a student, the school route, may have been the better option, because at the end of my 2 years program, I was eligible for a post-graduation work permit. And then the aim was to see if it is that I could have gotten the necessary Canadian work experience that I needed to qualify for Canadian Experience Class, that's CEC, and to apply for permanent residency. However, my family and I did research. We explored the various options out there, including doing consultations with an immigration lawyer to find out what our options were. Things weren't looking good for us because, as I said, my husband's degree was not accredited. So we knew that we wouldn't have gotten the points for his education. Canadian immigration is a lot to take in, a lot to understand. So I had to do a lot of research. My husband and I had a lot of conversations to try to figure out what pathways would have been the better option, the most cost effective for us, the one that would get us to permanent residency status quicker, as well as we needed to understand the requirements if it is that we met the eligibility criteria for whatever program that we would choose. So the program that we, or two programs that we utilized, was the BC PNP, that's the provincial nomination program, and we went through the express entry system. So in the BC PNP program, there are two options. You have the express entry pathway, or express entry BC pathway, as well as the pathway where you utilize the PNP platform to do your application after you receive the nomination from whatever province that you are in, or whatever province you're interested in settling in after you come to Canada. So as I said, we did research, we did consultations, we tried to figure out what options would have been best for us. Because my husband's degree was not accredited, we were being told that it doesn't make any sense to apply with his degree as the main applicant, because education, your highest level of education, gives you more points in the express entry system. And we thought that although his degree was not accredited, if we did manage to get the nomination from BC, that would have given us 600 extra points. So if it is that they deducted any points that he would have gotten for his education, which in the express entry profile, he received 112 points for his education. So we thought, okay, if he should lose that 112 points for education based on the score that the cutoff score that they would have drawn at that time when they're issuing the invitations to apply, we might have still been safe. And that was the case for us. The advantage of going through the provincial nomination route is that there are various programs that might focus on jobs that are in demand in the province, as well as that extra 600 points that you would have gotten if it is that you get a nomination from a province. I enrolled in a DIY express entry program to get up to speed, to understand the different things that we needed to do, what we needed to put in each area of the application, and so forth. And that helped tremendously when we were going through the process. So because at that time when we were exploring our options, the cutoff scores that IRCC was drawing, the comprehensive ranking scores, they were high. So we thought that we would have tried to see if we had a better chance of getting an invitation to apply. So my husband, his application was through the skilled worker category in the BC PNP program. His job qualified as a tech job, so we applied with the hopes that he would have been selected under or received an invitation to apply under the tech program. So I want to go into our timeline. And we thought long and hard about the options that we had. We got my husband's bachelor's degree evaluated. That's the educational credential assessment. We got that done through WES, that's World Education Services. And that was done in October of 2022. And we received the report, and of course we knew that his degree was not going to be equivalent to a Canadian 4 years bachelor's degree, and that's what the report stated. So both of us did the language test, and we opted to use CELPIP. CELPIP is easier, it is straightforward, more than IELTS is, and was easier to pass, and both of us did well. So we got good points and maximized points for our language results. Our express entry profile, for my husband at least, his was finalized on the 17th of November 2022, and the profile was accepted. So we put the right information in our province, and that initial profile was created on November 16th, day after, or I believe I started it the same night that the express entry profile was submitted and accepted by IRCC, and we got an initial invitation to apply on February 7th. So what is important to highlight here is that both of us, because we knew his program was not accredited, we were of the view that he wouldn't qualify for the BC PNP program. His points would have been low because the bachelor's degree wouldn't count. But what is important to highlight right here as well is the fact that the BC PNP profile questions did not ask if his program was accredited. It just asked if you completed a post-secondary, any post-secondary education, and we said yes, so he got points for his bachelor's degree. So we had that confusion and got the invitation to apply, and we were a bit worried. We pondered, we said, okay, we're wasting time, let's just go ahead and decline the invitation without actually thinking through. The very night when I declined that invitation to apply, lights went off into my head, and I'm saying, oh, I made such a terrible mistake. And the only way that I figured to fix it was to create a new profile. So the initial score that my husband got for his BC profile was 89 points. When I recreated the profile, it was the same information, so he got 89 points again. So on the night of February 13th is when we declined that invitation to apply, and I had to immediately go and recreate the profile and submitted quite early on February 14th, 2023, because I knew that that was the day that they would have done another draw, issue invitations to apply, because they do that every 2 weeks. So said, so done. I am really glad that I followed that nudging that I got to resubmit the application, because that very day we received an invitation to apply from BC again. We had to do a police clearance or a police report, police certificate from Jamaica. So we had somebody do the groundwork for us in Jamaica, did what we had to do here to get our fingerprints done. That was the ink and roll from an approved or designated fingerprinting agency designated by RCMP in Canada, and we had to get our passport information page certified, so we had to pay for all of those things and to have that done. So in January of 2023, we got our police reports finalized and got them taken back here for us, and that was a blessing. So we submitted the application for the nomination to BC on February 26, 2023. His job is a tech job, as I mentioned, so BC prioritizes the processing of those applications. So in early March, we received an email from BC PNP to say that they have been processing the application, which we noticed that because we noticed the change in the status, but they had some concerns. You don't want to get that email. You don't want to get that request. They are basically giving you an opportunity to make any changes to the application. Explain yourself. So it was a procedural fairness email that we got, because they were bent on rejecting that application, but they gave us a chance to explain whatever it is that they had a concern about. And we sent them a response on the 6th of March because we failed to elaborate on the directly related work experience to his jobs back in Jamaica compared to the job that he had here. So it was not connecting. We were claiming directly related work experience points, but the resumes did not go in depth. So I had to write an essay and explain. And I got a friend of mine who practiced law in Jamaica. She's here now. She's a permanent resident. And she looked over the letter and told us, okay, this looks fine. Good to submit. So we pleaded our case and said to them, yes, this information is accurate. This is why it is so. I made tables, I broke down, I wrote an essay. And we got the nomination from BC by March 16th, thereabout. We got that notification in our express entry profile, or in my husband's express entry profile, to say that a province has nominated you. We went ahead quickly and accepted that nomination. So the points went up to 1,068 points with that 600 added. And in 2 weeks after that, we received an invitation to apply from IRCC. So, yes, the invitation to apply came. But what next? This was where we had to do a lot of other research, a lot of facts checking, a lot of ensuring that everything was in order, a lot of things were right. And I had to go back through the profile. I made some errors, so I had to correct all of those. I had to write a lot of letters of explanations to explain a lot of things. As I mentioned, I enrolled in a DYI express entry course, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I could have done to correct errors, to report things. Okay, in this application we said that, in the profile we said that. It's actually this instead. We made a mistake. We did flag polling. We weren't sure if we were supposed to report those as entries or refusals to the US, which they were. So we had to put in all of those information. A major concern we had was the proof of funds. My husband had the necessary work experience, so he qualified for Canadian Experience class. And once you qualify under the Canadian Experience class category, you don't have to show proof of funds. But you always hear that if you don't get the invitation to apply under that program, then you have to show proof of funds. A family of 3, and I'm looking for the information on IRCC's website. A family of 3 had to show $21,055. I had just recently, in less than 6 months, or maybe 6 to 7 months, I finished my MBA. So we did not have $21,000, $22,000 laying around. And that was, in addition to that, you had to pay all the fees. So the fees you had to pay to IRCC, right of permanent residency fee, application fee, medicals, all of these things are excluded from the required funds. We were thinking, okay, the invitation to apply came through the provincial nomination program. So crap. We had to go and find $27 or more $1,000 to cover all our fees that we had to pay and to show that proof of funds. I was hell-bent on, okay, we are not submitting this application because it makes no sense. It's going to be an automatic rejection because we don't have the necessary funds. So as I mentioned, if you don't get the invitation to apply under CEC, proof of funds is required. So I did what I had to do. I called up an immigration lawyer, and they were gracious enough to take the time. They did not give us a service where they sat with us and did a consultation. but I had a previous relationship with them, and they decided, okay, send the documents that you got the nomination, send the invitation you got to apply from IRCC. Those show the program that he was invited to apply under, all the details in relation to the category that he got the nomination from BC under, and so forth. And she clarified, okay, you met the wage requirements for the BC PNP because both our annual salaries combined, we were over the threshold for the wage requirements in BC for a family of 3, and we were good in that regard. His job, the BC PNP Tech, it doesn't require for him to show proof of funds. That was good. And she said, go ahead, you guys are okay. He did qualify under CEC initially. So what we had to do was to write a letter of explanation to explain all of that. Copy links, put the links in the letter. We also showed proof of the funds that we had in our different bank accounts. It wasn't the 21,000, so no, we don't have it. We don't. We don't have it like that, or not yet. But we did show proof of funds, and that helped. We did go as far as to show that we did file our taxes in the previous year, so that notice of assessment was used, and that helped. So back to the timeline. As I mentioned, we had to do upfront medicals, so we had to get a panel physician to do the medicals for us. Did the blood work, we had to do x-rays minus my son, and the physical examination. So this was done in April of 2023. We had delays because we had to move, so focus was on moving, securing that the apartment that we now live in, and getting everything in order. So we kind of put the PR application aside. We had 60 days, so we were hopeful that once we got the move over and done with, we would have gone back to focus on the PR application, and that we did. So on May 1 of 2023, I submitted the PR application after much. I felt like I went back to school because I had to watch a ton load of videos to understand what we needed to do in each step to make sure that what we put in the application, the profile before, was okay. We highlighted or identified a few things that were not done properly. We had to change answers to some of the questions. So we had to go through and write a lot of letters, as I said. Made the changes when we accepted the invitation to apply. So it opened up another application for us to fill in, validate the information that was in the profile. That's the express entry profile, filling the necessary information. We had to get letters from previous employers, current employers. A lot of mistakes, or a lot of things were lacking in some of the letters that we got. So we had to explain the name changes for the companies, what the company was named at the time that my husband was employed there, the change in the name. We had to explain a lot. I wrote so many letters. I don't want to write another letter, but all paid off. I'm grateful that I did that express entry course because it did help a lot. There were things that were not good, as I said, in some of the letters that we got. So we had to explain a lot of things to confirm. We got another letter from my husband's previous supervisor to say, yes, he did these job duties, and explain that he did other duties that were not listed in the job description, and got that letter signed by the previous supervisor and attached that to the letter that was given from the employer. So on May 1, as I said, we submitted that application to IRCC, and it was a very long wait, 30 days wait. I checked almost every day, and I'm not exaggerating. We didn't see any movements. The application was just there as submitted. But on the 30th of May, we started seeing movements. There was a ghost update. I checked, I realized, oh wow, they're processing the application. Nerves, nerves, nerves. But all was well eventually. By June 7th, there was good news for us. So shortly after we noticed that they started processing the application, we started to make more attempts to create the PR application tracker profile, where we could have seen more information outside of the GC key to say this is where they have gone in the application processing. This is what you have passed so far. So they had to check for eligibility, they had to check our background, they had to check for criminality, and check that we have good medical records, or we're healthy. We're healthy enough. Nothing was of concern when we did that medical. We got the medical done. So we got emails from IRCC to confirm certain information. We did all of that. So on June 7th, we got that electronic confirmation of permanent residency to say, congratulations, you are now permanent residents of Canada. So all the excitement was there, the nerves. Oh my God, is this real? And then that wore off pretty quickly because we're thinking on to the next thing. So just an idea, our PR applications were approved, as I said. The PR card for my son was issued pretty quickly, in about 10 or 11 days after we submitted the photograph and confirmed our address and so forth. We got his PR card in the mail. We went to the mail and we saw like our son is getting a letter. Okay, what is this? We noticed that it was a letter from IRCC. Opened it and noticed that, yay, his PR card was here. We had a longer wait, unfortunately, but by late July 2023 to early August 2023, we finally got our PR cards. So if you have been getting value from this video, I'm going to ask you please to like my video, to leave a comment if you have any questions, to share the video, and hang tight because I'm not yet done. So we did have challenges, we did have obstacles, we did have setbacks, and many difficulties that we encountered in the process. So I explained that we had a lot of fees that we had to cover, and I will insert a table with the different fees that we had to pay for the various things. So we had to pay for photographs, medical, we had to pay the application fee to BC PNP to get that nomination application processed. We had to pay for the police certificate, the police clearance. We had to pay to get the passport information pages certified to say that they're a true copy. We had to pay for the fingerprinting that we had done here in Canada to send that to Jamaica. We had to pay for somebody to do that groundwork for us. A lot of costs. We did about 3 consultations during the life of us, trying to figure out what was the best pathway for us when we encountered challenges. The letters, as I said, weren't perfect. So we had to do a final consultation to ensure, okay, the letter that we did to explain certain things were acceptable. The lawyer validated that we could have done or taken an extra step to further validate the letter that the supervisor wrote. He did some checks. I asked him some questions just to be sure of certain actions that we took, some answers that we put in the application, and all seemed well after that. We had to talk to persons. So we got support. The support system, in my view, would have been that DIY course that we invested in. The support we got from the immigration lawyer, a consultant that we consulted with, another consultant as well, and that was a mistake. But I'm grateful that things worked out. So we had support from friends, persons that went through the PR process before, friends that they had that got provincial nomination as well, and they were insisting it's okay, Nikki, don't worry too much. I have a friend, they had no money. They got a nomination from the province of Alberta. They didn't show any proof of funds, although they used an immigration person as well. I think it was a lawyer. They didn't do their process on their own, but from what they were told, what they confirmed with the persons that did the process, they didn't show proof of funds, and that kind of helped us to be a little more at ease. We were even considering, and it might not have worked because we didn't have a lot of time to respond to the invitation to apply, but we explored the options, called up a few people. If it is that we had to borrow some money from you, would you be willing to lend us? How much would you be able to lend us? And there were people. So let me tell you about the importance of community and support, the importance of genuine people. They were ready to lend us money. As I said, that might not have worked because we had to show that we had the money in our accounts for a period of time, and this is in relation to the proof of funds. So people were willing to lend us money. I'm grateful because not a lot of persons would do that. So thank you for sticking and staying. Thank you for making it through Nikki's Lens. Like my video, share the video, subscribe to the video for more content like this. I will be doing other videos. I have other videos that I've done before that could be of value to you if you're choosing to come to Canada as an international student. If you want to learn more about living in Canada and so forth, check out my videos. Browse through my page and get some more information. Become a part of my subscribers. Stick and stay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it through Nikki's Lens.